Greetings all, Ben here, East West. Just going to have a look at some of the other names in uranium. I didn't get around to doing it on the weekend. Just thank you to all you lovely people out there who have been watching and liking and subscribing to the channel. Keep it up. If you can hit the like and subscribe, that gives me a bit of a hand. As I sort of get more interested in sort of doing this more often. Now, look, we're just going to look at URA on a weekly to start off here, and we can see here these two weekly candles. I mean, they're quite indecisive, where we've got almost no bodies. They're doji-like. They're almost no bodies and long tails each way. And we can see here this week, the week just gone last, that we just tipped into this area of top resistance that we saw back here in April 2022. So we've reacted away from that a little bit, but you know, I just also am taking everything with a grain of salt, because we had end of month, end of quarter thrown in, and we don't know how much profit taking went on. We have to see how the market sort of digests the price action this week, but obviously this top area here between $30.88 and $31.60 remains the immediate target, as long as we can clear this area, and obviously this broad area of support, which is quite low, which probably don't really want to see tested down here, $24.70 down to $24.11. We don't really want to see that. But word of warning, we are, by almost any momentum measure, we are running very hot. So when we look at this on a weekly Ichimoku, we are a long way away from Tenkan-sen, and the RSI is definitely running in the maximum velocity area. So I think all that means is I'm just going to maintain my view that we're just in for a period of sideways base building, like a wave 4, before we can go up and get the next leg. So I still think that this is what I thought on the last video, but we managed to just kick on a bit further. But I'm still of the opinion that we just need to just cool the jets, just build a base, and then get ready to go again. So we can see that we did have this big bearish engulfing candle finish off the week, but once again, you know, end of month, end of quarter, we've got to take this with a little grain of salt, and we've just got to see how the market sort of reacts to it through this week. But, you know, like I said, I think when we looked, we were around about this candle. I was expecting this to ensue here, but we just got that little leg higher. So I'm kind of thinking that we might just get a little bit more of this sort of action, like, you know, something like this. This chop, there's this lack of trend. Certainly a lack of trend than what we've seen thus far. So just quickly for the Elliott heads, I'm just working on a new solution. I'm not ready to sort of lean into this, but what I'm thinking is, you know, this was always very difficult to decipher, and this always felt like a bad point to finish this correction on. To me, it was truncated, it didn't look great, but I'm just kind of wondering, even though this looks like a 3, you can actually make a 5 out of it. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's no overlap. I mean, it looks like it overlaps, but you got to finish the 1 here. 5. So I think you can make an impulse out of this. This sort of whole thing looks pretty correct, even A, B, and then sort of this is a bit problematic, but this looks quite impulsive. But the point being is that I think you can make this your 1 wave, this your 2 wave, and then what we've got here is what looks to me like you could make a leading diagonal, expanding leading diagonal out of for a wave 1 as we come in to try to get this third. This obviously remains to be seen, but you know, these look like 3-wave swings going in here, and then this is maybe a little bit harder to make a 3-wave, but this sort of expands out, and that would lead me to think, well, maybe you've got 1, 2. So that being the case, of course, that if that is going to be sort of 1, 2, well, then all of a sudden you're looking at this move and thinking, we've got 1, flat 2, 3, 4, then we come up for a 5 to make the third, which is just touched to the 161.8% extension. So that's a possibility if you're an Elliott wave lover. Most of you probably aren't, but that is just one way you could possibly put the structure together, in my mind. Yeah, I mean, there's problems through the whole thing, but this could be a neat solution to kick your impulse off here, because this was always a bit tricky. But breaking this down into 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 is a leading diagonal that's expanding can certainly give you the chance to open this up to make this the third of three. So just flipping over here to URNM, the miners ETF, and this is obviously very bullish, where we've actually just come up and touched into the all-time high zone. I just call it. We wicked into there and we've wicked out. So that once again could be a function of end of month, end of quarter. But the same warning signs here. We're a long way away from Tenkan, and we are running really, really hot. So I just think that again we might just need to pause here, let a bit of time go by to stabilise things, and then we can push on for the next part of the rally, which I believe is still coming. So as we just sneak in here to the daily, we can see that we've got, that's not the best candle for the bears, because obviously it's a bearish engulfing candle out of pretty good resistance spots. So we just have to wait and see. But this once again would just be the kind of zone that I'd be looking at, probably taking into account these sort of tops here and then tying those into where we've just had our resistance areas that broke, and so far we've held. This gap here still catches my eye because I just don't feel like that's been filled in properly. So maybe we can come down and still test that. I think the last time we were around here and I expected it to get filled, but it didn't. And we kicked up and we've just had this chop with this big down candle. So once again, I am just sort of thinking that this sort of thing's just going to keep going on for a bit longer yet. That we're just going to drag. Maybe we just even do something like that. I mean, I don't know how extreme the chop's going to be, but I just think that we just need some stabilisation. That's just my view. So whether or not we fill this gap, this will be the first area to take a look at next week to see how we respond to this candle. And look, hey, maybe we do this. Maybe we just go back and go. It's not impossible, but we just got to wait and see how we shape up. So I thought I'd just finish up by just looking here at the cycles as I've sort of got them going, and I think here that we're coming out of this intermediate cycle low that we've had cycle 1, cycle 2, and now we're just in trying to complete cycle 3. Now I've got the average length of the cycles around about 52 to 53 days, which would take us to the 9th of October, and then the dates either side of this cycle mean represent one standard deviation from the mean, which tends to be, anywhere in this zone tends to be where we will make a cycle low. So we take the cycle low as being when the market closes below both the moving average and the trend line, and usually within the sort of time frame that we're expecting. So right now we've got a potential high here on day 42, which obviously we've got that big bearish engulfing candle out of that resistance area. So that take the end of month, end of quarter out of it. That kind of makes me think, well, the market looks pretty primed to maybe come down now and just put in that cycle low somewhere, just in this sort of time frame. But 1, 2, 3, and then maybe we get another daily cycle 4 that's going to take us to our top, but we'll have to wait and see. And then maybe from there we start to fail, but that is still a long way away. But that's what I'd just be looking at. If you're looking at the cycles, I'd just be looking at this trend line, which is a little bit hard to see. It clears it up a bit, but just coming off some of these pivots, yeah, probably just something like that. But this general trend line, even though we've sort of chopped through a little bit here, but the general trend line, this trend line, and then this moving average, if we start getting a close below there, then you're starting to think, okay, well, this is looking like making a cycle low. So that is kind of where I'm sitting. Once again, the chop, maybe what happens that this just chops sideways for enough time that we get on the other side of this trend and the moving average moves up. So price doesn't actually advance, but time advances on it, and that's what drags these indicators to make a cycle low. So that's kind of where I'm thinking we're headed. Once again, it's the same across all of them. I just think we're in for a bit of sideways chop, a bit of holding action, and then we just wait and see what's going to transpire from then on in. So look, I'll just leave it there. I didn't want to make this too long. So just Sprott and Global X today, and then maybe if we get enough likes and subscribes and views and stuff like that, then I can keep going. Hopefully I can, because it just means I'm reaching people with something a bit worthwhile. And if I do, that's great. So thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. See you in the next video. Bye for now.